Good morning and welcome to Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast. As you already know, Facing the Lion for Fridays, facing challenges, is always deep and very, very cognizant and aware of challenges. We choose to think about our challenges because it makes us mindful of what we've been through. Where do we go from here? How do we empower ourselves? How do we face up to the challenges that no one knows we may be facing? Here's a challenge that has been seen all over the world, and I would be remiss if I didn't bring it up. There are fires burning all over Southern California. And just in case you haven't heard, many people have already suffered loss. People that I know, people that I have love, or I do love, they're suffering. Even people that we don't know are suffering great loss today. Although I am thankful that they got out with their lives, I am sickened at heart and in mind. Why? Because people have nowhere to live. You woke up this morning and you got out of your warm bed. You woke up this morning to stand on your foundation of what is a house. You woke up this morning with a roof over your head. You no doubt have been in your kitchen, your bathroom. You went from room to room. I'm going to tell you right now, I want you to think about the people. Before these fires started, they were able to do exactly what you and I do every day. This is going to be emotional for me because one of the cities that are currently burning is the town in which I grew up in. And I want to talk about that because it's my hometown, Altadena, California. Some parts of Hollywood, Pacific Palisades, and so many places. Right now, I want to give all of you a place to call. Our toll-free number is 888-721-9260. Even if you just want to call, cry, will face the challenge together through emotion. I grew up in Altadena, California. I went to school there, so I know the city well. So it's not just some impersonal, it's very personal to me. If you've been watching the news, then you are fully aware that the city is on fire. Just this morning, some close acquaintances have already shown where their homes used to stand. Not a chair, not a bed, everything charred. This is beyond devastating. Some of you who hear this might be impersonal and say, why get emotional? Well, others of you say, I want to feel what they're going through. I understand how that might feel. You know, we take for granted places we live, places we love, and to watch my friends, to watch people suffer is beyond any pain that I could ever tolerate on my own. People that have worked so hard to accomplish, achieve, working their whole lives to build, to produce, to make families a place that you can call home. We all know what a home is. Home is not only where you live, but home is where you make memories. And all they're left with are memories. I am beyond devastated this morning, so please bear with me. When you see other people suffer, how does that make you feel? Because this is a program all about emotions and all about feelings. Some of us are walking around or getting up this morning and we're so glad it isn't us. But I'm asking you today to challenge yourself to try to be in their shoes empathetically, sympathetically. If you're in a house, I'd like for you to do this exercise this morning. I want you to go outside if it's safe for you to do so, if you're well enough to do so. And I want you to stand where you can see your house, your frame, and be grateful, be thoughtful, and imagine, if you will, the thought of how would you feel if everything you owned was just burned up in flames. By the way, close people who have posted, who have went back to where their homes were. Some of their homes were where their homes were located is still burning. The town of Altadena, California, where I grew up, I was 6 years old. 6 years old. And all the time of my life have I ever witnessed what looks like a war zone. My city, my place of home, where I grew up, where I had made friends, teachers, loved ones. My family and I, we're safe because I live in the upper desert now. So I'm about it. And I want to say good morning to you and thank you for looking out. Thank you for asking if we were all okay. I want us to be able to take the experience of life to understand that every last one of us has experienced a loss sometime in our life. Any loss is challenging, devastating, hurtful. You guys can think of a lot of words. And maybe as you stand in the foundation of your home, you are planning on what you're going to do, even if you just stay home today. Some of us like to stay home. Many of us will have the day off from work or school or college or whatever we're doing. And aren't we thankful to be able to do just that? This week has been challenging for me. One is because people that I know and love, people that I don't know, people that I will never meet are suffering. People have had to be evacuated, risking their lives just to save other people's homes. I want to tell you something, since I always present to you real life stories on Friday. One that made me so ill that I couldn't sleep. There was a man, I don't know his name, and his name is not even important at this point. He had the audacity to film his loss. And do you know what he said? My neighbors caught my house on fire. Have you gasped at the thought of that? What's wrong with that statement? The neighbors had control over what happened to him. I watched this video for about 2 seconds, and 2 seconds too long for him to say, it's my neighbor's fault. Can you believe it? That he had the audacity to say that? I don't think there's one person that said somebody caught their house on fire while rows of houses are ablaze. You saw people trying to fire over houses, trying to save their neighbors, trying to save the pets, to do anything that they could possibly do to stop this burning inferno. I do not know or recognize Altadena, California. It looks like a war zone. Like someone came in and just war zoned. And that's putting it mildly. The place where the fire originally started from for Altadena, California, let's not forget the other places. We're going to talk about my place, the place that I've known and loved, the place that my parents worked so hard to move us out of Los Angeles. I'm so thankful to move into Altadena, California. So grateful to have been raised there. That is home to me. I've spent sleepless nights worrying, not to even think about the home that I grew up in. Did that also go up in flames? I still have yet to find out. I'm pausing because I want you guys to think about the challenges that people will now have to face because of loss. We've all lost something in our lives. One elderly man, as he stood there, tears streaming from him, was in utter shock. Because we all know something about the elderly people. When they move somewhere, they establish home. That man has probably lived in that house for many, many years. Gone. I'm so very thankful that so many got out, listened, evacuated, and are safe. But now this show, or this podcast today, is about loss. Challenges we're facing and losses. What do we do? You know, because it's not going to be an easy thing for people to go and rebuild. I can't imagine someone who is 70, 75, trying to rebuild. Because no matter how you look at it, if you were the richest man on the earth or the richest woman on the earth, that foundation is never going to be the same. You know, because people say we can rebuild. We've got fire insurance. We've got this and the thus and that and thus so and forth. But you will always remember the loss. Think about the pain and the suffering that those people have to go through. You can't get back photographs. You can't get back important papers. You can't get back heirlooms. Just up in flames. Memories are nice. And thank God for memory. because in some of those were the best of memories, the best of times shared with loved ones. Children grew up in those homes. Children were able to come and have now what is your grandchildren in those homes that were lost. All you have are memories. If this show is not gripping to you, then I don't know what else would be. And again, we would be remiss if we didn't bring up these things that cause feelings, emotions, thoughts. We want to motivate you to think about others as you are going through your challenges. Today's challenge is facing loss. Even in talking to my loved ones, my friends, my childhood teacher, who in fact lost her home. My thought is always, what are you going to do? Trying to imagine myself in that circumstance. Because some of us are not moved when others experience a loss of something. We say, I'm sorry. We say, sorry for our losses. And I think it all means good when you say, I'm sorry for the loss. But has that word become generic? Has it become the thing to say next? Or do we really feel the empathy, empathizing? I want to read you something before we go on about loss because I think it's pertinent to today's uh, podcast. And I'm going to read this and try to make sense of it. Someone wrote this. Talks about, I'll try to paraphrase it. It talks about how they're up, they're washing their face while a country is on fire. And they say it feels dumb to wash my face and dumb not to. It's never been this way. And they say that in people's homes, people celebrate, they clink their glasses and cheer on in celebration. But then there's the other side where someone loses a home. While others fall in love, others have lived a long time. And then there's those who grieve from that loss and those who suffer. And then there's those who take the little things for granted. And then they close off by saying how unbearable must be their losses as I stand here and wash my face while a country burns. An empowering inferno just burning out of existence. I felt that was important to read to you all because these are things when we have a house that we do. We celebrate. We've lived there. We've established residency. And now because of this, people are displaced. I also saw another image of a convalescent home having to be evacuated. Imagine all the elderly. Now, it's one thing to be in a convalescent home, but it's a whole other thing to be in the convalescent home, and now you've got to evacuate because your town is on fire. I don't know what the reason is for why people are not caring for their older parents. Maybe there are varying circumstances. No judgment, but I've always wondered the elderly having to be displaced. And we carelessly throw our elderly away as if they're nothing to us. After all, those were the people that started and paved the way for us. And if they're related to you, without them, you couldn't have been born. That's something to think about. And I say very strongly that I say it without judgment, but I want to give you something to think about because they've lost. How many people are going to call them up today and say, no problem, you can come stay with me? As I spoke to one very dear friend of mine, as she lost everything, and I quote, we've lost everything, but thankfully we got up with our life. That's a message to me. Now, I'm in my apartment, and yet I complain about it. I say all kind of things about the area, but I need to be more thankful as I sit here, Trish and I can talk with you all. I'm thinking about, gosh, at least I have a place to stay. I want you guys to really get into the keys of what it would feel like if you say you never lost. To understand it, just type in LA fires. Type in LA fires and feel what the people feel. What do we do? How do we cope? You're going to find out. We're going to take a break, and I will be right back. I promise. I'm going to be right back. Facing the lion is always positive. And so I ask you today, as we are going to be facing our lions or challenges of the week, what did you face this week that was challenging? We are back, and I want to talk about some things because we are the podcast. We don't give you the answers because everybody is going to cope differently. But here's what I can do. When you are coping with your losses, acknowledge your feelings. Now, no doubt these people, these friends, their loved ones, as they have to acknowledge that they have a great loss and are thankful for their lives. They've got to accept the reality of the situation. Will you allow them time to grieve? The very floor that you're standing on, you have that. They don't have that because it is burned into sheer rubble and ash. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast is all about support, all about you being able to protect your mental health, because after all, that's important. Your emotional health is important. And for those of you who have not experienced loss of that kind, be understanding. Don't put pressure on them. If you have nothing else to offer a listening heart and a willing spirit to listen. Because lives have changed dramatically for them. Let them grieve. Let them have a source to come to. We're going to talk about them being able to have somewhere to go to. Because sometimes, even though we can't fix the loss, you being able to reach out to someone is a good thing. Allow yourself time to grieve. And be careful what you say. I'm being on words. And I understand the well-intended people that say sorry for your loss. But let's be more acclimated to regulate our emotions instead of being generic. Let's really feel what they feel. So that means that we would have to change our vocabulary because we are sorry that they have to go through that. But I guarantee you, they don't want to hear sorry for your loss, especially when you have a home to go to, you have a mailing address, you have a photo on your wall. They don't have that. So now is the time to regulate your emotions. Help them to know that you're there for them. Because it's going to be a long road. A very long road. The best thing that we can do is listen. The best thing that we can do is weep when they weep, rejoice when they are joyful. Let them know that they're important. What has happened to them now affects. See, we never get generic here because we realize that emotions and experience of emotion is the real deal. Can't sugarcoat anything. Let them know that you are there for them. Live Talk Facing the Lion podcast is here for you. Our number 800-721-9260. I want to let you in on something else that I think is pertinent to today's uh, uh, podcast as well. And I'm going to pull it up right here because I think it's so important here. Here it is. Resources. Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast always gives resources. And here's some important information. And we want you to spread this because we realize that as you listen, you've also got loved ones who are living in the towering infernal blaze. You may know of someone. This is about Lyft. Lyft riders in need can use the code, write this down, CARE Fire Relief 25. Or excuse me, CA, and that's capitalized, and fire, all capital, relief, all capital, and then 25. That's the code. It's valid for 2 rides up to $25 each, totaling $50 for 500 riders from now until January 15 at 1:59 p.m. Uber. Use the promo code, all capital letters, WIL, FIRE, all capital letters, 25. And that is good for ride up to $40. Airbnb, because people are going to need that. Airbnb partnership with 211 LA is offering free temporary housing for residents displaced or forced to evacuate due to the wildfires. So submit your information, okay, to receive notification or availability. 211 is the number for the Airbnb. You can ask for more information. Metro bus. Don't know if it's the train. Says fare collection for rides on Metro has been suspended. So no fares to ride Metro. 211 is an important number, guys, to remember. If there is anything that you want, in fact, Trish, I'm going to send this to you. And now's a good time to turn it over to Trish at Trish's Treasures. Trish?
Well, um, I never, I never experienced this sort of thing before, this sort of tragedy. I'm sorry, thing is a insensitive word. Tragedy before, and but I do know how loss feels, and I know how it feels when you lose something, and some people don't understand the cost of losing something. I remember my dad lost his job and he couldn't afford to get us an umbrella or a new pair of shoes. And I remember going to school and people will bully us for showing up to school with our clothes drenched because we didn't have an umbrella. And I remember them picking on us because we wore the same shoes last year. And that's the cost of my dad losing his job and being low on finances. And that's the sort of thing that the people that have lost their homes will be going through. And they need a lot of understanding. And I understand some people might want to give their advice, and we understand you mean well, but when you lose something, there is grief with loss. And the options that they may have, they may need to take one step at a time because it's home is a connection. I know this because the house where I grew up in, when they tore it down, I felt like a part of me was missing. Like they hurt me, like they hurt my family, they hurt the memories when they tore it down as soon as we left. And I was so mad because I didn't know they were going to tear it down as soon as we moved out of there. It's like they didn't wait. I was expecting to, when I get a car, to visit there sometime to go by and see it. But now we passed by that our address, our old address, last week, and all that's there is tall grass. You can see the stones and the bricks from the torn down house. You can see um, like some broken trees where our clothesline used to be, and it's unnoticeable. Like I can't recognize everything because the picture in my mind did not imagine that it would be gone like that. And like I said, when they tore it down, it felt like a part of me was gone, a part of me was missing. It's like when I lived there, if I told somebody, I used to grow up, when I grew up here, and this is where this used to be, and down there, that's where McDonald's used to be. And if you keep going down 3 streets down, that's our school. And that's how I remember that this is where my house is. And if I explain that to somebody now, it's like I don't know what I'm talking about because that house is not there anymore. It's not how I remember. And you must understand that is what this tragedy is making others feel. This is how they feel to lose something that is precious to them. Like I said, a home is connection. Home is like a family member. It's something that is sacred to a lot of people. And I just hope that everyone here and those who are not here right now will take time to think about the people that are going through this tragedy and try to support them by being their shoulder, by embracing them, giving them a hug, by talking to them, letting them know that you are not just sorry for their loss, but you are there to support them. So I hope you guys feel and learn to understand and to support others. And for those of you who have lost your homes, you are in my prayers. And I hope you guys listen to these resources, look at these resources if you need them. And we will put them in the description when we post this video on YouTube so you guys can click on it and know what you need. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you for that. Such lion power. Thank you so much. Trisha's Treasures, you can find that on our YouTube channel as it is affiliated with our live talk facing the light podcast. Everyone grieves differently. What we do know is that it is a process that you will face. And it is going to be indeed challenging. So make sure that you're able to feel what you feel. Make sure that you are understanding that we feel how you feel. We've all had memory of something. We've all lost something to whatever degrees. Everyone who will listen to this podcast will have lost something. And know that it isn't the end. It does feel like the end when you see, because I believe me, the videos that I have watched, I feel terrible. It is undescribable how I feel for the ones that I know and love, for the ones I don't know but love them anyway because they're going through such a horrible time. It is not your end. It is not your end or the end. We know that as you face this challenge, you survive. In a real way, you're alive, and this will be your survival story. I want to thank everybody who listened to this today. It's been really emotional for me because people that I know are affected. That's my hometown. Since I was a very little girl, I grew up there. The take home from this for me is not to take life for granted. Be glad for your families that love on you, love on them. Be glad that you could walk in your kitchen today and make yourself a cup of coffee, latte, or you could cook yourself something because they don't have that. glad that you have. Be glad that these ones who are experiencing their lives challenges, you didn't lose. You didn't lose, because I guarantee you, you're going to be able to tell your story. You're going to be able to say, I survived it. You're going to be able to understand the real meaning of facing a challenge. That's my take home. You are survivors. There's no other way that I could possibly look at what has happened to these Southern California fires. You are the real winners because you got out with your life. Even if it didn't happen to you, if you see a firefighter, thank them anyways, because some of them have risked their lives. Some of them have had to spend time away from their families to help others as they watched houses burn to the ground. They were on the sidelines. They are our heroes as well. Thank you so much. And Trish, what's your take home?
My take home is to always be compassionate, even though I can't relate to the experience to their extent of the experience, but I can relate to the feelings of what it feels like to lose something. And it just makes me think about the song I'll Be There by the Jackson 5. That's what they need right now, for somebody to be there for them. So my take home is to always think about the ones that have lost, and to always wish for them the best with sincerity, not just generically. So that's my take home.
Thank you for that. Today's song will appropriately be Home by Stephanie Mills. And we play that in memory for all of us, because really, we all need a place to call. Maybe you don't own a home just because you never owned a home, but we all should have a place where we call home, away from home. Home sincerely. And I want you to really listen to the words of Stephanie Mills' Home. I think we can work together. Have a great weekend. And don't forget that we will be doing our first 2025 Vibe Talk After Dark, and we have a special treat for you. We're going to play much of the songs that we've been playing, and we hope that you will join us at 8 right here. Thank you all. Thank you, Trish, for your support, your love, and your creativity. You had to face your lions, and we're glad that everybody's okay in your family. And thank you for supporting me in facing mine. Have a great weekend and a safe weekend, everybody. Until next time, Vibe Talk Facing the Lion podcast says, challenge yourself. or be challenged. Just to make a resolution, I want you to think about. I was really about the moves and then I got the vibe with it. I really took my time with it. I really loved the ride with it. Free you. Really got the vibe with it. I took my time with it. I really loved the ride with it.